United States, U.S. President Donald Trump has accused members of the Israel House of Assembly, known in Hebrew word as Knesset, of apparent politically witch-hunting the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, with corruption case President Trump had described as nothing but political witch hunt, saying the Knesset prosecutors should let Benjamin Netanyahu go, that he's a war hero who have worked with the US to eliminate Iran nuclear threats, and currently he has a big job to do with negotiations of peace deals with Iran and Hamas, stressing in a question manner how possible is it for the Israel Prime Minister to sit in court all day long. The Prime Minister lawyer had filed a 2-week delay of the case, citing national security demands following the 12-day Israel-Iran war, but the court sitting in Jerusalem rejected the application on Friday, and Benjamin Netanyahu, who has spent 20 years as Israel Prime Minister, was expected to be in court on Monday for cross-examination in the corruption case that started with police investigation in 2016 and the court trial commenced in 2020, but a report from some foreign media quoting the Prime Minister political party, Likud, a few hours ago indicated that the court on Sunday has postponed the case and cancelled it from holding this week. Similarly, some members of the Knesset had accused the Prime Minister of trying to use the regional war with Hamas, Hezbollah and Iran to secure end to the corruption charges. The foreign media reported that the Israeli court on Sunday postponed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's testimony in his corruption trial after he allegedly requested a delay with the support of US President Donald Trump, in a ruling published by the Premier's party. Following the explanations given, we partially accept the request and cancel at this stage Mr. Netanyahu's hearings scheduled for this week, the Jerusalem District Court said in its ruling, published online by the Likud party. It would be recalled that the Israel police began investigating Netanyahu in December 2016 and subsequently recommended indictments against him. The court is presided over by a panel of 3 Jerusalem District Court judges, Rivka Friedman-Feldman, Moshe Bar-Am, and Oded Sheam. Local media had reported that Friedman-Feldman previously served on the judicial panel that convicted former Israel Prime Minister Ehud Olmert of bribery, which the former Prime Minister was sentenced to 6-year imprisonment. On the 21st of November 2019, Netanyahu was officially indicted for breach of trust, accepting bribes, and fraud, leading him to legally relinquish his ministry portfolios other than Prime Minister. Netanyahu's trial in the Jerusalem District Court began on the 24th of May 2020, with witness testimony starting on the 5th of April 2021. The prosecution listed 333 witnesses. Netanyahu is now set to take the stand on Monday for cross-examination in a long-running corruption case. According to Al Jazeera, members of Israel's Knesset have accused Netanyahu of using the regional conflicts to secure an end to his corruption trial. Netanyahu is conditioning the future of Israel and our children on his trial. Naama Lazimi, Nigeria Anti-Corruption Police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has told a federal high court sitting in Abuja that the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, is on international red alert or on the watch lists of security operatives abroad, and if left to travel abroad for medical treatment, he could be arrested, like the way and manner a Nigerian social media influencer and United States, U.S. convicted fraudster, Ramon Abba aka Hush Puppy, was arrested, adding, the charges against the ex-governor are connected to buildings he allegedly owned in Dubai and bank transactions in the US and United Kingdom, UK, praying the court to order Yahaya Bello to undergo the medical treatment in the ultra-modern hospital the ex-governor had boasted he built in Kogi State. Details of the report are presented verbatim below as made available by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday, June 27, 2025, opposed an application filed by former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, seeking leave of court to travel abroad for medical treatment. The application was presented before Justice Emeka N. White of the Federal High Court, Maitama, Abuja, during the resumed hearing of Bello's alleged 80.2 billion naira's money laundering trial. His counsel, J. B. Daudu, San, urged the court to consider the defendant's health condition as paramount and to grant him permission to travel. Daudu informed the court that the application was brought pursuant to Section 173(2) of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA, and under the court's inherent jurisdiction. He said the application was backed by a 22-paragraph affidavit deposed to by the defendant himself, including annexures such as a medical report and a letter from a consultant cardiologist. He further argued that Bello had not traveled outside Nigeria in over 8 years and now required urgent medical attention which, according to him, cannot be provided even in the hospital he built. The subject of this application is the release of his passport, which was surrendered as part of his bail conditions. What should be considered is not whether there are alternatives in Nigeria but whether the defendant poses a flight risk, he said. He also claimed that the defendant has no criminal record abroad and may not pose a flight risk. He has no criminal record in those countries. The defendant is not a flight risk and will return before the end of August. My lord can even specify a return date, he said. However, prosecuting counsel, Kemi Pinheiro, San, strongly objected to the application, describing it as an abuse of court process. He argued that Bello had previously filed similar applications before another court, the current court and the FCT High Court, seeking the same relief, which he said was improper and confusing. Pinheiro advanced 5 main reasons the application should be denied. First, he said the motion was technically incompetent, as the sureties to Bello's bail were not informed or included in the application, thereby raising United States, U.S. President Donald Trump says, senators who voted for the passage of his tax spending bill he tagged as one big beautiful bill, a people that truly love the North America country, made the statement via his Truth social media platform shortly after the bill narrowly scaled through at the Senate chamber, after 2 members of his Republican political party voted against the bill that later succeeded with 51 votes in favor and 49 votes against the bill, which the Senate plenary session was apparently tensed as the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, was seen in the video footage made online by close watchers entering the Capitol Hill venue of the Senate meeting on Saturday night. The Senate Republicans on Saturday narrowly voted to advance the sprawling 1,000-page bill to enact President Trump's agenda, despite the opposition of 2 grand old party, GOP or Republican lawmakers. The 2 Republicans voted against the bill were Senator Rand Paul, who opposes a provision to raise the debt limit by $5 trillion, and Senator Tom Tillis, who says the legislation would cost his state $38.9 trillion in federal Medicaid funding. According to local media, Senator Ron Johnson changed his no vote to aye, and holdout Senators Mike Lee, Rick Scott and Cynthia Lummis also voted yes to advance the bill. President Trump, in a statement he issued around 12 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Sunday, said, "Tonight we saw a great victory in the Senate with the great, big, beautiful bill, but it wouldn't have happened without the fantastic work of Senator Rick Scott, Senator Mike Lee, Senator Ron Johnson, and Senator Cynthia Lummis. They, along with all of the other Republican patriots who voted for the bill, are people who truly love our country. As President of the USA, I am proud of them all, and look forward to working with them to grow our economy, reduce wasteful spending, secure our border, fight for our military, vets, ensure that our Medicaid system helps those who truly need it, protect our Second Amendment, and so much more. God bless America and make America great again." We have reported that the United States, U.S. billionaire and one of the major prominent persons that campaigned with his own resources for the return of President Donald Trump to the White House for a second tenure, Elon Musk, has again condemned the latest version of tax and spending bill presented by President Trump as released by the U.S. Senate, describing the president policy as utterly destructive that will destroy millions of jobs in the U.S. and caused a strategic harm to the country. This Elon Musk stated on Saturday barely few weeks he settled feud with President Trump after he had openly rejected the bill and criticized the policy, which sparked serious concerns between both, who had continued for days to lash out on each other with words on social media. Elon Musk made the latest expression of strong disapproval against the tax spending policy on Saturday in a comment he made in reaction to an ex-social media tweet of Jesse D. Jenkins he reshared on his personal verified ex-social media handle. Jesse D. Jenkins had tweeted that the new Senate draft raises taxes on all wind and solar projects that haven't begun construction today unless they are Indigenous people of Biafra. IPOB has said that the Kenya High Court ruling declaring the arrest and subsequent transfer of the detained IPOB leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to Nigeria has placed a permanent and indelible legal stain on the persons of former Kenya President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari, alongside the former Nigeria Attorney General of Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. IPOB spokesperson Emma Powerful made this known in a statement issued in reaction to the verdict of a federal high court sitting in Nairobi, the Kenya state capital, presided over by Justice E.C. Mwita, who on June 24, 2025 ruled that the governments of Kenya and Nigeria violated Nnamdi Kanu's human rights. Delivering judgment, Justice E.C. Mwita held that the actions of both the Kenya and Nigeria governments amounted to gross violations of Kanu's fundamental human rights as protected by their respective constitutions. The court also awarded Kanu 10 million Kenyan shillings in compensatory damages against the Kenyan government for its role in the unlawful abduction and rendition. Justice E.C. Mwita held that, having considered the pleadings and arguments by parties, the decisions relied on, the Constitution and the law, I come to the following conclusions. First, the government of Kenya violated the Constitution and Mr. Nnamdi Kanu's rights and fundamental freedoms. Having entered Kenya lawfully, he was subject to the protection offered by the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and the government of Kenya had an obligation to uphold and protect his rights and fundamental freedoms. Mr. Nnamdi was, however, abducted, kept in solitude confinement, tortured and denied food and medication, a breach of basic rights. He was chained, humiliated, ridiculed and held in contempt, and later forcibly removed from Kenya without following the law, in violation of his rights and fundamental freedoms, for which the government of Kenya is liable. Based on the above conclusions, the court makes the following declarations and orders it considers appropriate. A declaration is hereby issued that the abduction of Mr. Inwanakine v. Nnamdi Kanu, holding him in incommunicado confinement, torturing him and denying him food, water, medication and other basic necessities, was a violation of his rights and fundamental freedoms. A declaration is hereby issued that the abduction and subsequent forcible removal of Mr. Inwanakine v. Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria was in violation of the laws of Kenya, his rights and fundamental freedoms, including freedom of movement and security of the person guaranteed by the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, and, therefore, unconstitutional and illegal. An order for compensation is hereby issued awarding Mr. Inwanakine v. Nnamdi Kanu general damages KSH's 10,119,546,576 Nairas.79 against the Attorney General of Kenya on behalf of the Government of Kenya for the violation of Mr. Inwanakine v. Nnamdi Kanu's constitutional rights and fundamental freedoms. Reacting, the indigenous people of United States, U.S. billionaire and one of the major prominent persons that campaigned with his own resources for the return of President Donald Trump to the White House for a second tenure, Elon Musk has again condemned the latest version of tax and spending bill presented by President Trump as released by the U.S. Senate, describing the president policy as utterly destructive that will destroy millions of jobs in the U.S. and caused a strategic harm to the country. This, Elon Musk stated on Saturday barely few weeks he settled feud with President Trump after he had openly rejected the bill and criticized the policy, which sparked serious concerns between both, who had continued for days to lash out on each other with words on social media. Elon Musk made the latest expression of strong disapproval against the tax spending policy on Saturday in a comment he made in reaction to an ex-social media tweet of Jesse D. Jenkins he reshared on his personal verified ex-social media handle. Jesse D. Jenkins had tweeted that the new Senate draft raises taxes on all wind and solar projects that haven't begun construction today unless they are placed service by end of 2027 and navigate complex, likely unworkable requirements to prove they don't use a drop of Chinese materials. After that, this bill adds a new tax on wind and solar projects that can't prove the same. Reacting, Elon Musk tweeted and said, "The latest Senate draft bill will destroy millions of jobs in America and cause immense strategic harm to our country. Utterly insane and destructive, it gives handouts to industries of the past while severely damaging industries of the future." It would be recalled that after the verbal altercations between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, the US billionaire, Elon Musk says on X that he regrets some of the barbs he posted as he and President Trump traded insults on social media, saying, "They went too far." Hours after Musk posted about regretting his comments, the New York Post published a pre-taped interview with Trump in which he said he had no hard feelings toward Musk. Trump had described the spending legislation as the big beautiful bill, while Musk said Trump wouldn't have won the election without him and accused him of undermining the work of Doge in cutting billions from federal budgets. The feud occurred less than a week after President Trump and Musk lavished praise on each other in the Oval Office. Trump had celebrated Musk's work as the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, overseeing the slashing of billions of dollars in federal spending. Speaking at his send-off at the White House before the feud ensued, the US president called Musk one of the greatest business leaders and innovators the world has ever produced. "Just want to say that Elon has worked tirelessly helping lead the most sweeping and consequential government reform program in generations," he added. In reply, Musk, who was presented with a golden key featuring the White House insignia, said he would continue to visit Trump as a friend and advisor. Looking around the room at Trump's new golden decorations, according to local media, the entrepreneur said, "The Oval Office finally has the majesty that it deserves, thanks to the president." The bill, which narrowly passed the House of Representatives last month but faces challenge, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has sought the help of Pope Leo XIV to prevail on President Vladimir Putin of Russia to release Ukrainian children and women held in Russia, saying, "The government of Russia held the children and women against their will," while he thanked the Pontifex for his continued prayers and compassion for the people of Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky made the request on Saturday when he commented on Pope Leo XIV tweet on X social media, in which the Pope had expressed sadness and sympathy for the people killed in Ukraine. Pope Leo XIV in the X social media tweet had said, "I express my closeness to martyred Ukraine, to the children, the young people, the elderly, and especially to families who mourn their loved ones. I share your sorrow for the prisoners and victims of this senseless war." President Zelensky through his verified X social media handle responded to the post and said, "Thank you, Your Holiness at Pontifex, for your continued prayers and compassion for Ukraine and our people. Together we must stop this wanton Russian aggression and protect innocent lives. A just peace is needed, and we would also deeply appreciate your kind help in bringing back all our people, adults and children, held in Russian captivity against their will." Meanwhile, President Zelensky also on Saturday in a statement to mark the 2025 Constitutional Day of Ukraine, wrote and stated that, "Today, we are marking Constitution Day of Ukraine, the constitution of our state, our nation. The first word of its first article is Ukraine, and this reflects our ultimate goal, our mission. Ukraine is, and will be, on earth. Ukrainians are, and will be, on earth. This is both our goal and our shared duty. It is the mission of everyone for whom Ukraine truly comes first, of those who cannot imagine their lives without Ukraine, and without whom Ukraine can no longer be imagined. We are a state of millions. But for us, millions have never been and will never be just a mass of people. This is a nation made up of citizens who have the strength to stand up for what they believe in and what they strive for. And that is precisely why Ukraine stands. Ukraine is millions of names we are proud of. Ukraine is the choice our people make every day. It is millions of actions and feats that together are Ukraine. The social contract between all of us is this: Ukraine comes first. Ukrainians, our independence, our rights, our dreams, the dreams of our entire people, come first. And when we say this, these words carry power. Because these are not words about something abstract, but about real people, real deeds, and a real path that has been endured. About all of us, about the citizens who breathe life into Ukraine. Congratulations to all Ukrainians on Constitution Day of Ukraine. Our people are writing the pages of history and filling the pages of the Constitution with life. With their example, their deeds and feats. All of them are doing more than what is required by constitutional duty. They act not because the law demands it, but out of the call of the heart. That is precisely why we will undoubtedly defend our inalienable right to independence. Thousands of mourners on Saturday put on mostly black and black clothes and rallied from Engelab Square to Azadi Square in Tehran, the Iranian state capital, to honor the country's top military commanders, nuclear scientists, 4 little children and 4 women among the hundreds of people killed during the 12 days war the Islamic country had with Israel and the United States, US, with the mourners chanting anti-US and Israel songs while the Iran supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was not seen at the funeral, with reports indicating that he has remained out of public space and still taking cover in a well-secured hideout since, on Tuesday, the ceasefire between the two countries had been brokered, and the cynosure of many eyes at the state funeral ceremony was the arrival and appearance of 2 top senior Iranian military officers previously declared killed by Israel: Ali Shamkhani, senior advisor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, and Esmail Khani, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC Quds Force, which Israel Defense Forces, IDF, had claimed to have assassinated with an airstrike on the 13th of June 2025 during the start of the Iran-Israel war. However, Iranian state media contradicted the IDF report on the 20th of June that the officials are still alive, and they were in stable condition after recovering from severe injuries from the strike. According to the Islamic Republic news agency, IRNA, banners reading, "Boom Boom Tel Aviv," are carried at the funeral procession for the Martyrs of Might in Tehran. Boom Boom Tel Aviv is a song by American artist Lucas Gage in support of Iran's armed forces. It trended on YouTube with 577 million views in less than 24 hours. While displaying a video, IRNA added that Zara Bazgar, the 3-year-old victim of Israeli aggression whose small coffin was carried in today's procession, singing epic song, "Oh, Iran." She and her mother, Mazia Askari, a pediatric specialist, were killed in an Israeli strike on Shahid Chanran complex on June 13, 2025. The coffins of the IRGC's Chief General, Hossein Salami, the head of the Guard's ballistic missile program, General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, and others were driven on trucks along the capital's Azadi Street as people in the crowds chanted, "Death to America," and "Death to Israel," according to local media. Salami and Hajizadeh were both killed on the first day of the war, which Israel said was meant to destroy Iran's nuclear program. It was observed that Saturday's ceremonies were the first public funerals for top commanders and more than 40 people killed during the 12 days war since the ceasefire began on Tuesday, and Iranian state television reported that they were for 60 people in total, including 4 women and 4 children. Reuters reported that at least 16 scientists and 10 senior commanders were among those mourned at the funeral, according to state media, including Armed Forces Chief Major General Mohammad Bahari, Revolutionary Guards Commander General Hossein Salami, and Guards Aerospace Force Chief General Amir Ali Hajizadeh. Meanwhile, at the funeral ceremony, the President of Iran, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has listed what the troops of Operation Rising Lions achieved in a 12-day war with the Islamic Republic of Iran, stating that Israel will now pursue the path of making peace with nations in the Middle East and compensate those that suffered damages, specifically stating that all the buildings destroyed by Iran ballistic missiles will be rebuilt anew by the Israeli government for the victims, adding that, without the immense achievements in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, and against the said terrorism in Judea and Samaria, Israel would not have been able to reach Tehran, made the statement on Tuesday evening after Iran President Masoud Pezeshkian announced an end to the 12 days tense and frightening military campaigns that the United States, led by President Donald Trump, took side with Israel and officially and openly got itself involved in the war on Saturday 2025 when U.S. special military troops flew several B-2 bombers, fighter jets and attacked 3 Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan with allegations that the Iranian nuclear facilities in the cities have been destroyed, allegations several media reports and authorities in Tehran have dismissed, but in retaliation to the U.S. invasion of the Iranian territory, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC launched 6 missiles into Qatar on Monday with the intention to destroy U.S. military base in the Qatari capital of Doha known as U.S. Al Udeid Air Base, but, according to Qatar state media, Doha News, all the missiles were intercepted. Doha News also reported that Qatar's Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, told a press conference in Doha on Tuesday that Iran's attack on the U.S. Al Udeid airbase the previous night will leave a scar on Doha and Tehran's relations. Sheikh Mohammed noted, however, that Qatar is not adopting escalatory policies. Qatar welcomed the ceasefire deal between Iran and Israel on Tuesday following a conflict that lasted for nearly 2 weeks. Qatar's foreign ministry issued a statement voicing the Gulf states' hope that the agreement will serve as a solid foundation for prioritizing dialogue and diplomacy in resolving disputes and conflicts. The statement affirmed that Iran's attack on the Al Udeid airbase in Qatar constituted part of the dangerous escalation in the region, while noting that Doha will continue to be a driver of peace, not bound by any specific event or pragmatic position in this regard. Qatar's Emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, received a phone call from Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, during which Qatar strongly condemned the Iranian Revolutionary Guards attack on Al Udeid airbase as a clear violation of its sovereignty and international law. The Emir emphasized that the act contradicts the principles of good neighborliness and Qatar's long-standing efforts to promote dialogue with Iran. He called for an immediate end to military actions and a return to negotiations to preserve regional security. President Pezeshkian expressed regret over the incident, clarifying that Qatar was not the intended target and reaffirming Iran's respect for Qatar as a neighboring and friendly nation. Doha, Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani has demanded the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, to take full charge and direct the operations of security agencies until the suspected killers of 12 persons among the occupants of a 18-seater bus that were traveling from Zaria to Quan Pan local government area of Plateau State for wedding ceremony when group of youths stopped the vehicle at Mangan community in Mangu local government area of Plateau State, mobbed the travelers, with some of the victims burned to death inside the bus while about 11 persons escaped with severe injuries. According to Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani in a press release he personally signed and made available on Saturday, he said the criminals must be fished out and dealt with accordingly. He said, "We received with shock and deep sorrow news of the killing of 12 Kaduna State citizens in the troubled Mangan district of Mangu local government, Plateau State. 11 others sustained various degrees of injuries. The innocent travelers met the deaths while traveling to Quan Pan local government of Plateau State for a wedding ceremony. We condemn in the strongest terms these acts of savagery. The criminals must be fished out and dealt with accordingly. We call on security agencies to leave no stone unturned until these criminal elements are hunted down and brought to justice. We must put a stop to the nefarious activities of non-state actors. There is no justification for anybody to attack any citizen of Nigeria in any part of the country. This madness must stop. Enough is enough. I also call on the Plateau State Governor, His Excellency, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, to use this unfortunate incident to make a bold statement. He must take full charge of the situation and direct the operations of the security agencies until the murderers are brought to justice. I will personally follow up on the progress made in the investigations and field operations in search of the criminals. We must send a clear signal that impunity will no longer be tolerated. Let me use this opportunity to call on the citizens of Kaduna State to remain calm. All hands are on deck to ensure that our murdered citizens get justice. We have made remarkable progress in peace building and conflict transformation in Kaduna State. The Kaduna peace model is a pointer to the fact that with political will, commitment and sincerity of purpose, a toxic environment can be turned to an oasis of peace. The situation in Plateau State is not irredeemable. The bloodshed must stop. Our deepest condolences to the families of our citizens who lost their precious lives in Mangu local government. I am in touch with the families of the victims. We shall do all in our power to lessen their pains. We shall also ensure that the injured victims receive adequate medical attention. May the gentle souls of our departed citizens rest in perfect peace, said the Kaduna State Governor, Uba Sani. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang, in a statement issued by Gyangbir, the Director of Press and Public Affairs to the Executive Governor of Plateau State on June 21, 2025, said the travelers missed their way and unfortunately found themselves at the Mangan community, where the people in the community have suffered sustained terrorist attacks. Verbatim, the statement reads, Head of the Christian Catholic Church, Pope Leo XIV has appealed to all actors involved in the ongoing war in the Middle East and beyond to end the battles because, according to the Pope, war only amplifies or creates more problems, and no amount of military victory can compensate the pains of mothers, the stolen futures and the fear of children, emphasizing that war does not solve problem. According to Vatican News, Pope Leo XIV appeals for an end to the tragedy of war, especially in the Middle East, and recalls that war only amplifies problems and creates deep wounds without providing lasting solutions. Speaking at the Angelus address on Sunday, the Pope said, alarming news continues to arrive from the Middle East, especially from Iran. In this dramatic scenario, which includes Israel and Palestine, continued the Pope, the daily suffering of the population, especially in Gaza and other territories, risks being forgotten, even as the need for adequate humanitarian aid becomes ever more urgent. Today more than ever, humanity cries out and pleads for peace, he said. The Pope said the cry for peace demands responsibility and reason and must not be drowned out by the roar of weapons or by rhetorical words that incite conflict. We had reported that the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has commended President Trump of the United States, U.S. over the night attack the U.S. military for the first time for years carried out on Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, saying, like him and President Trump do say that peace comes through strength, the U.S. troops acted with a lot of strength while bombing the nuclear facilities in the 3 cities of Iran. We have reported that the United States, U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that the U.S. military troops have attacked nuclear facilities in the Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan on Saturday night, June 21, 2025, according to U.S. local time of Pacific Standard Time, PST, which was already early morning night on Sunday, June 22, 2025 for countries on Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, saying, the U.S. military attacks on Iran was completely successful, as White House published photographs of President Trump and his cabinet members said to be watching the U.S. operations in Iran nuclear sites, although no authority in Iran has issued any statement over the attacks, and some of the media in Iran are yet to give update on the conditions of things in the 3 cities, but an apparent military insider media of Iran Armed Forces, Daily Iran military, tweeted that residents in the vicinity of Fordo reported no indication of a major explosion, while also adding that the deputy political editor of Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB was on live TV program in the station saying Iran has already evacuated 3 nuclear sites some time ago. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF earlier on Saturday night posted an aerial view recorded video of the Israeli troops bombing a location said to be Isfahan nuclear site. Facility said the Iranian uranium enrichments reconversion were taking place. We had already struck the site in the operation's opening blow, and last night, we struck it again in a wide-scale strike to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has commended President Trump of the United States, U.S. over the night attack the U.S. military for the first time for years carried out on Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, saying, like him and President Trump do say that peace comes through strength, the U.S. troops acted with a lot of strength while bombing the nuclear facilities in the 3 cities of Iran. According to the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went further to say that President Donald Trump's bold decision to target and attack Iran nuclear facilities will change history. He added that Israeli troops of Operation Rising Lions are doing amazing things, but the night attacks carried out by the U.S. military troops is an act that America is truly unsurpassed, stressing that no other country on earth could do what America could do. We have reported that the United States, U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that the U.S. military troops have attacked nuclear facilities in the Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan on Saturday night, June 21, 2025, according to U.S. local time of Pacific Standard Time, PST, which was already early morning night on Sunday, June 22, 2025 for countries on Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, saying, the U.S. military attacks on Iran was completely successful as White House published photographs of President Trump and his cabinet members said to be watching the U.S. operations in Iran nuclear sites, although no authority in Iran has issued any statement over the attacks and some of the media in Iran are yet to give update on the conditions of things in the 3 cities, but an apparent military insider media of Iran Armed Forces, Daily Iran military tweeted that residents in the vicinity of Fordo reported no indication of a major explosion, while also adding that the deputy political editor of Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB, was on live TV program in the station saying Iran has already evacuated 3 nuclear sites some time ago. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF earlier on Saturday night posted an aerial view recorded video of the Israeli troops bombing a location said to be Isfahan nuclear site. Facility said the Iranian uranium enrichments reconversion were taking place. We had already struck the site in the operation's opening blow, and last night, we struck it again in a wide-scale strike to reinforce our achievements. This is how the site now looks following the latest strike. We have reported that 22 persons suspected to be spies have been arrested in the Iranian province of with an apparent military insider media that operate with a verified social media handle, Iran Armed Forces, stating that the 22 individuals were linked to Israeli intelligence services, and police authority in according to AFP, confirmed the arrest of the 22 persons the police said are Israeli spies. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF, in a statement issued on Saturday morning said that Israeli troops. United States, U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that the U.S. military troops have attacked nuclear facilities in the Iranian cities of Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan on Saturday night, June 21, 2025, according to U.S. local time of Pacific Standard Time, PST, which was already early morning night on Sunday, June 22, 2025 for countries on Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, saying, the U.S. military attacks on Iran was completely successful as White House published photographs of President Trump and his cabinet members said to be watching the U.S. operations in Iran nuclear sites, although no authority in Iran has issued any statement over the attacks and some of the media in Iran are yet to give update on the conditions of things in the 3 cities, but an apparent military insider media of Iran Armed Forces, Daily Iran military tweeted that residents in the vicinity of Fordo reported no indication of a major explosion, while also adding that the deputy political editor of Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRIB, was on live TV program in the station saying Iran has already evacuated 3 nuclear sites some time ago. This, Israel Defense Forces, IDF, earlier on Saturday night posted an aerial view recorded video of the Israeli troops bombing a location said to be Isfahan nuclear site facility. Said the Iranian uranium enrichments reconversion were taking place. According to President Trump, the U.S. troops who carried out the attacks on Iran are safe and they are currently on their way back home. Adding that the U.S. attack on the Iranian nuclear facilities in the 3 regions were the most difficult to be taken in the lists of targets the U.S. may strike if the Iranian authorities refuse to make peace and surrender. Donald Trump, in the nationwide address, said, Iran has killed a lot of U.S. citizens, saying, over 1,000 citizens of the U.S. have been sent to the grave by Iran. Adding that to every other listed target, the U.S. troops will carry out the mission at more ease, and boasted that no military in the world could have done what the U.S. troops did in Iran overnight. President Trump went further on his Truth social media platform to say, any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Earlier on the same platform also stating that, we have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Daily Iran military tweeted that, IRNA correspondent report, Fordo region, the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear program remains fully intact. The pigman is lying, yet again. Local residents in the vicinity of Fordo reported no indications of a major explosion. Conditions in the area remained calm and routine. Official experts are expected to release further.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.